Chapter 3. What did I care if a boy wanted to hide? It had nothing to do with me. The best thing about being a cat is that nothing is my fault. Oh, I suppose if I deliberately ran in front of someone carrying a huge tray of bread rolls on his head, making him trip so that the rolls went flying into the gift shops along the narrow streets of Old Bethlehem, that would be my fault, and has been, more than once. And no one would ever blame me in a serious way. No one would think to punish a cat. No one would bother giving a detention to a cat. I've become a living get-out-of-jail-free card. So what if a boy was hiding? So what if the soldiers had taken over his house? So what if he might be in trouble? Not my fault, not my problem. I reminded myself of this when I sniffed out the boy. Not your business, I told myself. You have enough trouble of your own, stuck in this awful place with fleas and no TV. That boy hiding away will never help you, so why should you help him? That got my thinking straightened around to where it should be, back to the place where most of my thoughts and feelings have been since I died. On hatred for my homeroom teacher. She was the one responsible for my death. That means that all the stuff that's happened to me since is her fault, too. She had it in for me from the start. She was new to Lehigh Middle School. I came back from summer vacation expecting to have Mr. Hutchins for 8th grade. He told jokes in his class and was so close to retirement he didn't care what his students did, as long as they were quiet about it. But over the summer, he went and had a heart attack, ruining my plans for an easy school year. He was out, and this new teacher was in. I walked into her classroom on the first day of school, just 5 seconds late, and she practically ripped my head off. She didn't say anything. She just looked at me with ice-cold eyes. She didn't even respond to my smile, a smile that most adults thought was sincere. I sized her up right away. 40, frustrated, forgettable, a long way from young, and a long way from retirement. Her hair was in a tight, short poodle curls, edged with gray. She wore a drab navy dress that made her look more like a cop than a teacher. I thought about staring her down, but instead flashed another of my winning smiles to show her she hadn't gotten to me, and I took a seat at the back of the room. I liked to sit at the back because I could see everything from there. I needed to stay on top of things, so I'd know what to make fun of. My name is Miss Sealand, this new teacher said. I will be your homeroom teacher, and I also teach your history and literature. I texted my impressions of Mrs. Sealand to my friend Josie, stuck in the other 8th grade class in school. I kept my eyes on the teacher while I texted. My grades were good. As long as I pretended to pay attention, teachers usually left me alone. Miss Sealand babbled on about the usual start-of-the-year stuff. I didn't listen. I was busy texting possible nicknames for her. Sealand made me think of seals and walruses, but they didn't quite fit. C also sounded like Z, and then I had it. Zero. We would call her Miss Zero. Is everyone happy with their seats? The teacher asked. Anyone want to change? This is your one and only chance. I smiled at the comment Josie texted back, and about Miss Zero. Good, the teacher said. Everyone, please pick up your desks and pivot them 180 degrees. I had a vague sense of the confusion around me as the other kids tried to figure out if she was serious. But Josie was texting the nickname of her teacher, so I didn't take much notice of anything else. My phone was snatched out of my hands. Hey! The word came out of my mouth before I could stop it. When dealing with teachers, the first rule is to look like you're on their side. Any outright expression of disagreement is the sort of thing they remember, and you don't want them to remember the bad stuff. The teacher stood silently at the back of the room, which was now the front of the room. She had 4 cell phones in her hands. One of them was mine. I suddenly realized I was the only kid who hadn't turned her desk around. I felt stupid doing it while everyone was watching, and especially stupid because Mrs. Zero waited in silence until I was done. You have all been informed of the school board's no-phone policy, she said. If you'd like to change that policy, you are welcome to follow the democratic process and make a deputation at a meeting at the board. Do we get our phones back at the end of the day? Someone asked. Your parents are welcome at any time to come to the school and retrieve them. I tried my smile again. My mother likes to know that she can get in touch with me. Then perhaps you could share the school's general phone number with your mother, Miss Zero said. Before we begin our lesson, let me say a few things. This school year will be unlike any school year you have had to date. I believe in respect, giving and getting. You all have my respect from the start because you have shown up today, ready to learn. My respect for you as individuals will grow or wane throughout the year. You choose which by your attitude and your behavior. I'm not your friend. I'm not your parent. I am your teacher, and I put a high value on that. It is a value I hope you will come to share. If so, I can promise you will leave this classroom in awe of the power of your own mind." She went on and on about how it was our job to keep up with her, not her job to chase after us. That assignments turned in late would get a 0 unless we had prior clearance from her, and that she would be conducting regular sessions on time management at lunch hour. "These sessions are open to the entire school," she said. "There's a sign-up sheet by the door. I suggest you sign up early." Then she handed out a statement of agreement. We each got 3 copies. "This is a contract between you and me. It clearly states my rules and expectations, and it also outlines what we will be studying together and what the major assignments will be. You and your parents will sign all 3 copies, as will I. 1 copy is for your parents, 1 is for me, and the last one is for you to keep. I enjoy clarity in communication. The world provides enough ambiguity." "She can't make us sign this," I whispered to the girl across from me. I was the lawyer's kid. I knew a little bit about contracts. "You have an objection, Claire?" Zero asked. "No one can force us to sign a contract," I said. "What if we don't want to sign?" "You and your parents are welcome to meet with me to discuss your objections." She had an answer for everything. There was no way I was going to show the contract to my parents, but I wasn't worried. I was good at forging their signatures. "Let me be clear," the teacher said. "Next year you'll be in high school. A very few short years after that you'll be legally adults. This year is to prepare you for that. It is time to grow up." And then she smiled. It was like a smile on a vampire. "We will also have fun. You'll find that school is much more fun when you're treated like mature students instead of like little children who need to be babysat. And the fun part begins now. Human beings tell each other stories to try to bring order to chaos." What do I mean by that? All the bright-eyed kids jumped into the discussion. I used the time to come up with a story from my parents about losing my phone. They had made me promise not to bring it to school. Allahu Akbar. The call to prayer interrupted my thoughts. It was loud. The mosque must have been close to the little house I was hiding in. "Ashhadu an la ilaha illa Allah." I bear witness that there is no God except one God. Another day was starting. Another bloody day. Terrific.